Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and the host of Real Conversations with Michelle. Welcome to my SisterChat Series Finale for my video podcast. Tonight's session is titled Dear Younger Self. And before we get started with the conversation, let me say, kind of set the tone for this evening and tell you a little bit more about myself. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a retired senior human resources professional, worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 24 years and an investment bank for 14 years. Now doing coaching and consulting, a lot of career coaching, executive coaching, and life coaching. And I started this podcast in 2020, and any of us who experienced 2020, you know what was going on. And it was my way to connect with the world and to delve into conversations that I knew people were dealing with during that time, which we know the pandemic was really heavy at that time. So here we are 4 years later, and tonight's topic is part of a series. First topic was life after 50. The second one was I am not my hair. And this one, as I mentioned, Dear Younger Self. So this series is all about women. And I figured since I covered women over 50, life after 50, I figured let me get to the younger generation in terms of this topic. And this topic is near and dear to my heart. I don't know about you, especially women who are out there, if you're watching. I don't know how you were handling life when you were in your 20s. But I know there were a lot of decisions that I made. If I think back now, I probably would have did some things differently. A lot of young women deal with self-esteem issues, and then just life be life, and y'all. So all kinds of things come up unexpectedly. And the question is, how do you handle it? How do you handle it? So my hope and desire for tonight is that after you hear the journeys of these phenomenal women who I have on, maybe you'll get some ideas for yourself in terms of ways that you may manage things differently. Maybe there'll be some validation around some things that you are dealing with, and just a sense of knowing that you're not alone will motivate you to keep pushing. And these backgrounds of these women are so varied, y'all. I can't wait to hear the conversation, for you to hear the conversation that we have. Now, I do consider this an educational podcast. So like anything else, make sure that if you're hearing some advice or hearing something that you really want to take to heart and implement yourself, make sure you do the homework to make sure that it is right for you. Okay. So without further ado, let me start bringing in my guests. And the first person I'm going to have come up is Shakana. Miss Shakana.
Hello. I'm well. How are you doing?
Good. Why don't you tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I am Shakana, aka QK Love, meaning Queen Kana Love. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves who we are. And my profession is I am an enrollment specialist with Benefit Focus in Voya. And I do also production, and I'm getting ready to launch my podcast at the start of the new year.
That. So yes.
Thank you. And so thank you for having me.
Good. And let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask everybody when they come in.
Yeah.
What is something about your life's journey that you're really proud of? You can really say that today.
The fact that I'm so resilient. I
Okay.
faced so many obstacles in my life, but I've
Mm-hmm.
overcome them all. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm able to sit here today with you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're going to get into a little bit of that later. Next up, I'm going to bring Ashley Brown. Ashley.
Hi,
Hey,
good
Ashley.
evening.
Good evening. And why don't you tell the podcast audience about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ashley Brown. I am a human resource professional currently and a proud HU alum. I am currently living in the DMV and am also a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I'm excited to be here with you all tonight.
Yes, yes, yes. And I call you my Delta niece because me and your
Yes.
mom and I were line sisters. So known you since
Mhm.
you were a baby in Chicana since high school. So same question as Chicana. Something about your life's journey that you're really proud of. You could say today
I,
that you're really proud of.
I think the thing that I'm probably most proud of about my life's journey is that I never said no. When
Mm,
things got really scary or tough, I figured it out within myself, but also with the help of family, friends, loved ones. And I've never had to say no. So
okay.
I think that's the thing I'm most proud of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Next
Thank
up,
you.
I'm gonna bring Ariana. Hey, Ariana.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Ariana, introduce yourself and like everybody else, something that you're really proud of.
So my name is Ariana. I'm originally from the Bronx, but I now live in Raleigh. I'm an HBCU grad. Proud to have some some stock in St. Aug, but we're a little sad about that. But let's move on.
Yeah.
But yes, I am very proud of my school. But yes, so I'm a digital marketing professional. I'm currently a marketing assistant, and then for fun and for some extra money, I work at Saks Fifth Avenue, and I really found a love for doing beauty and fragrance as well. So
Yeah.
all things fragrance, digital marketing, anything branding, um, speaks to my heart.
Yeah. And one thing you're proud of, you look back over your life, what's one thing you're proud of that you feel like you really
Yeah.
nailed for yourself? Yeah.
If I found me to be discouraged with anything at any part of life, I always kept that little bit of optimism, like, yeah, that might suck now, or I don't see a way out of it. But you know what? There's got to be a loophole. I'm always going to find something. The sun is always going to shine on the other side of it. I think that's
Yeah.
what for me in my journey, especially throughout my 20s as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Ariana. And your sound, if you could turn your sound up just a little bit for me.
Gotcha.
Next, yeah, yeah. Next up, Debrida. Hey, Debrida.
Hi, Michelle. How you doing?
Hi, welcome, welcome once again, my second time guest.
Hi.
Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I am Debrida. I am living in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am working currently as an administrative assistant for a hospital, big hospital here. And I also am an actress. Catch me on Amazon Prime and Tubi.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and I am also a spoken word artist. Performed at many events, performed all over the East Coast. And that's yeah, another love of mine. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. What you're proud of? You look back and what you've conquered. What do you say? One thing you're really proud of?
I am the most proud of the fact that I made the choice to grow as a person, that I hold myself accountable. I let other people hold me accountable. I've done self-help books. I'll go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I make a conscious effort to try to improve myself on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Debrida. And Debrida, I've known since she was in middle school. Ariana, since she was born too. I'm really aging myself here. I'm feeling old, y'all. Feeling old. Next up, uh Siggy.
Hey.
Hey. Tell the audience about yourself, Sig.
So I'm Sigourney Ridley. I go by Siggy for short. I'm an ex Fortune 40 marketer, current entrepreneur, opening up LBS Nail Spa in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a business focused on bringing luxury to the everyday working class people in Charlotte. I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm all the things.
Yes, yes.
um,
But I'm out here just living my life.
Yeah. One thing you're proud of when you think about your
Something that
life's
I'm proud
journey.
of when I think about my life's journey is the fact that I am out here living my life, like where a lot of people aim to accomplish the American dream of successful career and family and all those things. I was able to accomplish that before the age of 30. And now
Mm-hmm.
here I am, now divorcee. But I'm in a place in my life where I feel full and happy in my faith and in the journey that I'm on now in entrepreneurship. And so I'm proud of the fact that I was able to accomplish a lot of what I wanted to accomplish early in my life. And then now I'm in a place where I could really just enjoy my life and try new things.
Yeah. And I've started out with this. I want people to know, you guys are coming here free. A lot of y'all free from things that y'all had to deal with. We don't go into the stories, but I know the journeys y'all have had. So I wanted to start off with that. So next up, this young lady, y'all, she's the first person to call me auntie, making her debut on my podcast. Hey Mo,
Hey, Aunt Lisa, how are you?
I'm good. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Monique King. I'm 41 years old. I'm currently the supervisor in general ultrasound sonography at New York Presbyterian Hospital. I specialize in OBGYN and also fetal echocardiography. Um, and I'm just really happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. One thing you're proud of,
Yes.
Mo.
I think the one thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that I am unapologetic. And when I say that, um, it may not be the right decision generally speaking, but it was at that time. And we
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes, and that's how we grow. So,
Mm, I like
mhm,
that, Mo. Thank
yes.
you, thank you, thank you. Last but not least, I have my resident expert. She's doing dual duty today, but my resident
Right.
expert and also participant and guest, Lakeisha. Hey,
Hi.
Lakeisha.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell people
Um,
about
yes, I am Lakeisha. I am a care coordinator for the Office of Mental Health for the state of New York. I also have my private practice called New Pathways to Wellness, LLC, where I specialize in individual and couples therapy. It's a virtual only practice. So I'm a mom, proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and all things. Um,
yeah,
just trying to make it.
yeah, yeah. And one thing you're
Mhm.
proud of, Lakeisha.
Proud of my strength. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we often as women get shamed for being strong, right? A strong black independent woman, right? So I'm really proud of that, of being strong. I'm proud of being independent. I'm proud that I'm able to rely on myself.
Yeah,
Um, so you need the strength to really get through a lot of difficulties in life. So I'm proud of that.
yeah. Well, thank
Mhm.
y'all. So now let's get to the heart of this conversation. And I know y'all can be vulnerable, and I appreciate y'all for being vulnerable. So my first question, um, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice about navigating challenges, what would it be?
Mm.
So who wants to go first? Anybody? Go ahead, Sig.
If I could give myself one piece of advice is to accept the fact that challenges would come and take them like 24 hours at a time, little by little, bit by bit. Because
Mhm.
I feel like earlier in my life, challenges came and I didn't let it defeat me, but I let it definitely beat my butt.
Mhm.
And I got to a place now in my life where instead of trying to tackle everything by myself, I'm more thoughtful about things like prioritization and, boundary setting and putting things in place to protect my peace as I try to accomplish my goals. And it's
Mhm.
a huge difference in how I'm able to handle, the challenges that come up in my different journeys.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that.
Go ahead, Sig.
You know, in challenging moments, we try to a lot of people push through, right? And kind of ignore ourselves and not really take care of ourselves. So I would tell my younger self to really focus on taking care of yourself. Slow down a
Mhm.
bit. Kind of take stock with, with where you are and how you're feeling and your mental health, your physical health, what you're eating. Um, not push so hard and not,
Mm-hmm.
get to burnout much quicker. So I would tell my younger self to slow down in those challenging moments and take care of yourself. Make that a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is, and I've just finished up this neuroscience coaching course, and one of the things we were talking about is, it is during those times, those challenging times, there's so much going on, right? So one of the things that I've been doing, we call it body budget, right? So just taking a
Mm.
look at all those things, your diet, your exercise, your sleep patterns, and making sure you're kind of paying attention to that. So thank you for that, Lakeisha. Anybody else
Yeah.
want to add to that? Let me go Ariana and then Debrita. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ariana.
I think for me, I would tell myself to just do it. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I had a lot of ambition, but I would be like, it's not the right time. I need to do this first, or this needs to happen. And then it left me at a point where I would have was in a moment of the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I never wanted to feel that again. So my whole thing that I would tell myself and tell other young people is to just do it. You'll figure it out on the way. There's never
Mm-hmm.
a perfect time to do something as long as you have some kind of a plan and you got some sense. Okay, but
It'll
just
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And call a friend. Call a friend. Sometimes you might need to call somebody or call a coach. Give me a call. Debrita, go ahead.
If I could tell my younger self something, it would be that it's not gonna last forever. And I
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
like when I was young, I really thought literally everything that was happening that was bad or something that I didn't like was it was never going to end. Especially
Mm.
that first heartbreak. You're like, oh my god, my life is over. Girl,
Mm-hmm.
no, you gonna meet several other knuckleheads. Cut it out. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? Like I just wish that I knew that like everything that was happening, that it wasn't gonna be forever, and I would have
Mm-hmm.
acted like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anything there? Go ahead, Mo. And then Shakana. Mo, Shakana, and then Ashley.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I guess I would say I wish I would have listened to my gut a little more.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ignore it. That gut
Mm-hmm.
feeling that you have, the turning, all of those things, it
Oh,
means something. So listen to yourself. Be
yeah.
kind to yourself and actually follow what's in your heart.
Yeah. And challenges will come. And sometimes, again, it could be difficult. How you take step back and kind of evaluate what's happening, but keep pushing for sure.
Absolutely.
Shakana.
Just piggybacking off of what everybody has already said, it's already on my heart to say. So don't worry about being perfect. It's all gonna
Mm,
fall in line. And I agree
yeah.
also with Ariana, being very ambitious but not taking certain opportunities because you're afraid of making the mistake. You want to make sure everything is set in stone before doing X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
But just jump on it. Do what's
Yeah.
in your heart to do. Just like Mo said, listen to that intuition, listen to your gut. Because what your gut is telling you, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, that's the right thing to do.
Hmm.
Don't allow everybody else to tell you, oh, no, no, no. Because a lot of times people tell you no because of their fears of what they think you're doing, right?
Right.
And they want you to be safe and all this type of stuff, but don't allow that to cloud your heart and your mind. Go for what your passion is, go for
Yeah.
what your purpose is. If it's
Yeah.
in you, it has to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Ashley, challenges.
Yeah, I would say my piece of advice would be kind of piggybacking off of Siggy and Monique is to stick to your gut and listen to your intuition, but also, and this is just for me personally, being nice is not a part of your identity and it's not a
Mm,
part of your like puzzle piece of life. So you can do nice things, but you don't have to necessarily categorize yourself as being nice in order
mm,
to navigate challenges or things like that. And that kind of goes hand in hand with like learning your boundaries
mm,
and having respect for that. And that's still things that, even to this day, I struggle with and I'm working through. But I think that, oh, I'm nice, so I have to do this kind of situation.
mm.
Yeah, we gotta nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
Mm.
The boundaries piece for sure. Yeah. Okay.
I
All
love that.
right.
Boundaries
Lakeisha,
very important.
say boundaries
Yes,
very
ma'am.
important, Paul.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Lakeisha, as you're hearing everybody, what's your therapist brain saying? What you
I
hearing?
love this
Hmm.
actually. This is the goal, right?
Yeah.
In therapy is to have this self-awareness, right? To really put yourself as a priority and doing this kind of comprehensive assessment on yourself
Hmm.
before you engage with anyone. So I love to hear that we have arrived, right? Because
Yeah.
this is really the foundation of our struggles as we're developing into our young adulthood and navigating families and friendships. How do we set those boundaries?
Yeah.
How do we even listen to our gut? Is that
Hmm.
even true, right? With all the
Hmm.
noise around us. So I love to hear this. This is what I really try to work with my clients
Yeah.
to get to. Yeah,
Thank
amazing.
you.
And that
So
Mhm.
we're
that
gonna
family
get.
piece,
Go ahead,
that
Stick. Go ahead.
family piece is a big one, especially as
Yes,
a
it
West
is.
Indian woman. Like my family to go from, six-figure corporate job with Target to now turning around being an entrepreneur, struggle busing. My
Mm.
mom, I might as well have told her that I just gave up on life and became a bum. Like literally, like
Ah,
the boundary setting and also like sticking to your guns is so important from like a cultural perspective too, and being in the place of being the first to do things in your family. Like
Hmm.
some of your biggest kind of like discouragement can come from the
mm,
place where you should be getting the most encouragement, and you have to be so sound in yourself
ah,
and
Right.
be true to yourself and what you believe God is destined for you to do, and
Yeah.
put the work behind achieving your vision even when the support's not coming from the places that you would hope that it would come from.
Yeah. And that's big. And oftentimes it, what I find, it may not come from your family, it may come from unpredictable sources as well. Right. So anybody relate to that? Yeah.
mm.
Okay. Um, Looking back, what moment in your life would you tell yourself? Well, we talked about the appreciation piece. Let me go into this because we kind of got into a little bit about this a little bit. Fears. Were there any fears or insecurities you had when
Mm.
you were in your 20s and younger 30s that you've now overcome? And how did you overcome it? Who wants to go? Go ahead, Shakana.
I used to be so afraid of taking the risk, right?
Okay.
And just jumping out on the deep end, right? And just doing it because of some of the things that I mentioned in my previous comment. Family encouraging me, in their best interest, but not necessarily in my best interest of what my passions and desires are, right? Or
Mm,
were. And
mhm,
so at that time, being fearful and also being fearful that I wasn't enough, right?
mm,
Because I have so much, I have big energy, right? And I try to tame it because I'm like, oh, I might be too much for
mm,
somebody else. I might be too much for the audience.
mhm,
But what I
mhm.
bring to the table is enough and more than enough because it's my package. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to look like anybody else's package. And
Amen.
so arriving at the point of saying, look, I'm enough. I embrace myself. I love myself. And diminishing those fears and not just pushing them down, but actually working through that stuff and
Mhm,
saying, where did this come from? How did I become a person to embody this type of fear and why? And
mhm,
so learning to peel back the layers of my life and say, nope, tell myself no, break the barriers of my life so I
mhm,
can push through and hopefully liberate somebody else, right, on my
mhm.
journey of living my passion and my purposes.
Yeah. Thank you, Shakana.
You're
Mm.
welcome.
Who wants to add to that?
I like to, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Lakeisha.
Some of my insecurities, and I definitely want to piggyback off of just not feeling like you are enough and feeling like you're too big for whatever situation. I oftentimes currently struggle with that. I feel like, oh, maybe my passion came through too much, or I spoke about this topic too heavy, or whatever it is. I still have to kind of fight through that. But my biggest insecurity when I was kind of navigating my 20s was I wasn't smart enough. I didn't
Mm,
think that I would be seen as someone that was smart. I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and I graduated top of my class, almost like seventh of my class. So I was, you can smooth the teachers and they will pass you along. And when I got to college, I realized I know nothing, right?
Mhm.
So I was kind of afraid of being found out that I don't belong here. I'm not smart enough to be here. And then I realized nobody really knows what they're doing. Everyone is just kind of showing up and just trying their best and just
Absolutely. Absolutely.
fronting, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so telling myself that is sort of how I overcame that. I used to over prepare a lot. I used to overstudy. And despite all the evidence that you are getting good grades, I still be like, nah, just, that was luck. So it
Mhm.
took a while for me to do a lot of self-talk
Mhm.
and convince myself that you are smart.
Mhm.
You're good.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes, and I don't know about you, Lakeisha, were you the first one to go to college in your family?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that comes with being the first, 'cause I
Yep.
felt that myself,
Yep.
being the first to go to college, first to work in corporate America, the first to do a whole lot of stuff. And this weight that we put on ourselves, and as you said, realizing that there's so many people, everybody is kinda in that in that same
Yes.
space, right?
Yes.
But thank you for being vulnerable. Anybody else wanna share examples of, Mo, were you gonna share something?
Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
think in my 20s, my biggest insecurity, I don't really know if it's an insecurity, but it's not knowing what to do.
Mm,
Like, just not having a direction, a clear picture as to what it is you want to do. Because I was doing a lot of everything and it
mhm.
ended up being a lot of nothing.
But you tried, and
But I
that's the
tried.
thing.
Right.
Exactly.
So, like I said in the beginning, unapologetic, you dip and you dabble in certain things. And I think that's how you kind of find your niche and what you want to do.
Mhm,
I had my son. I got pregnant when I was 23. And I had him when I was 24. So I felt like once I had him, I had a little more direction as to what I wanted to do. And when I say direction, it means that I knew that I had to take things a little more serious.
mhm.
Um, so I guess in my younger self to my 20s, I would say that, maybe you want to start analyzing and thinking what you want to do earlier on versus having something, spring up on you that you
Mhm,
are forced to take
mhm,
or forced to make a decision. Start
mhm,
really taking life seriously from the very beginning
mhm,
because it's serious.
mhm.
But don't take it too serious that you forget to actually live.
Absolutely, and the one thing I would say in your 20s, it's okay to try different things, y'all. It really is. That's how you learn and you grow, and you figure out some of the things that you really like and what you don't like. So, but there does become a point where you have to get serious um about what you wanting to do in your life because you just as adults there's just different decisions that we have to make and things that come at us, right? And
Especially when there's a little person depending on you, and it's just like,
absolutely that'll
okay,
make you grow up real fast.
I
Yeah,
don't know what to do. So what am I supposed to tell this
right.
person to do?
Yeah, go ahead, Sig. And
So
then
I
Lakeisha, I
think
don't know if you're gonna say something too.
Yes.
Piggyback. Let me go to Sig and
Absolutely.
then I'll go back to you and then anybody else who wants to add to that.
I think for me, when I think about insecurities that I had, so I've always been a pretty confident person when pursuing stuff, but then what I
Mhm.
found was sometimes I wondered if I was too confident and then coming
Mm.
off to like what Lakeisha said before, like being kind of like too abrasive, a little bit like too aggressive. You
Mhm.
know, um, I've had people like even college campus, I was involved in everything, and I've had people kind of tell me like, moving things around to get what you want type stuff done, and they looked at it like it was a negative thing. And I looked
Mhm.
at it and I was like, yeah, I'm getting stuff done. Like, what do you mean?
Hmm.
Right.
I shouldn't be camping in front of their office until they answer my email. I need you to
Mhm.
answer my email.
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and so now I think what happened is like from seeing that, even from my collegiate experience, when I got into a professional space, you already have the code switching and all that stuff that you're doing, being Black in corporate America. Then I also had to manage like, what is the perception of me overall from everyone, including the
Mhm.
people that look like me? Am I too sure of myself? Do I need to kind of like dumb my confidence down a little bit, dim my light a little bit, just so
Hmm.
I don't come into a room and be taken, incorrectly because I'm sure of myself. So that's always been a battle for me, and kind of like a thing that I look out for when I come into spaces. It's like
Mhm.
I had the nerves to actually be confident in what I wanted. And so when I
Mhm.
come into spaces where everybody might not be as strong and willing to express themselves, it almost feels like I had to dim my light a little bit to kind of
Mhm.
fit in. And then as I grew in my corporate jobs and progressed throughout different companies, that's something that was actually appreciated about me. And people would put me like, I was a marketing manager at Lowe's, and they would put me in a meeting with a bunch of VPs and
Mhm.
executives because what Siggy had to say, she always asked the right questions.
Mhm.
And I was just like, man, promote me. But also, but also, it's a moment when I realized that there was power in being my authentic true self and
Absolutely.
showing up in the
Absolutely.
full energy that I once dimmed because earlier on I was taught that it might be read wrong.
Right. And that's a question. Why do we feel the need that we have to dim our light? What was
To
it?
make everyone comfortable.
Make
Yes.
somebody said make everyone comfortable.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Why you feel like you need to make everybody comfortable? Somebody else comfortable.
It's because we're human and we need people. So it's like if you rub people the wrong way, there's this fear that it's like it can stunt you in some way too, because it's
Mhm.
like we have to rely, like in my space in corporate America, I rub the wrong person the wrong way, they might have the power to veto whether I move up or not. And
Mhm.
so it's like I'm trying to find this balance to achieve my goals, but also not rub the wrong people the wrong way. And so I found myself dimming, but then once people in those spaces vocalized that that's what they valued about me, it was like, oh baby, flame on. I'm
Yeah.
getting
Yeah. And I
it.
say that because as I mentioned in my opening as an HR professional, I always saw that a lot of particularly African Americans, we did that. We did that.
Hmm.
And the question is, some of it is historical, right? You hear from your parents is like, don't put yourself out there, right? Just do what you need to do, put your head down. But as you said, Sick, people wanted to hear your voice. And I know I did that when I was first starting out in corporate America as well. And what I realized is people wanted to hear my voice, right? And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But let me go to Lakeisha, and then I don't know who else wanted to say something. Go ahead, Lakeisha. I think you're going to say
Mine
something.
is just really quickly, just to piggyback off Monique with
Hmm.
the having that goal. I'm reading this book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if
Hmm.
anyone have heard of that. And one thing that stood out to me was to begin with the end in mind.
Hmm.
And that is what it is essentially saying, right? Where are you going? Have this direction, know where you're going, and anything that doesn't support that, say no to it. So
Yes.
anything that you set your mind to, whatever goal you have, everything is created twice. One in your mind, and actually that's something that's tangible, right? So know where you're going, see it before you do it. So begin your goals, your path, your journey with the end in mind. What does that look like for you? So
Yeah.
absolutely, that's on my list of everything I would say to my younger self and the younger folks now.
Yeah. Thank you, Lakeisha. And that's a coaching
Yeah,
principle as well.
yeah,
I talk to a lot of clients about that. It's like you have to see yourself at that place. And then once you set your goal, as you mentioned, anything that doesn't align with that, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Right?
truly.
Mo, Shakan, I see you shaking your head. I don't know if anybody new wants to say something. Go ahead, Mo, and then I'll go to someone else.
So, what I like to say is that the right person won't be rubbed the wrong way.
Mm,
So, whoever's supposed to receive that message is going to receive it, whether it's the right way or the right
mhm.
sound of how it is, but the right person is going to receive it the way that it's supposed to be received. So,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
right and there's no wrong.
Mhm.
I would just say that we're kind of just living in a simulation, honestly,
Mhm.
where we can just say, like, just say how you feel. And whoever's supposed to receive that message will receive it the way that it's given.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's how I try to live now.
Thank you, Mo. Anyone else
Hmm.
want to add to that? Dabrida, I see you smiling. Is something resonating with you?
So along the lines of what she was saying, it just made me think of this time, where because of course I do spoken word poetry, and I also do erotic poetry. And I remember doing poetry, and there was somebody who was in charge of their marriage ministry at church, and they were going to do a Valentine's Day night event, and he was like, I would love for you to come and do some like sensual poetry or something for the married couples, and for our Valentine's Day love night or whatever. And he was like, but you're going to have to like water some of your stuff down. And I said, no, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Mm-hmm.
if you want me to water down my poetry, then you don't want me. Like
Right.
you don't want to book
You
me.
have to deal with somebody else.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Book somebody that's gonna have different kind of poetry. I can recommend
Right.
somebody to you, but then
Right.
you don't want me. I'm not gonna change my poetry and the style
Right.
and the things I say or do just because you want me to. We're not doing
Mm-hmm.
that. But like you said, the right people. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
be right for the right people, and
Yeah.
you're going to the places that you need to be in, those spaces will receive you.
Right.
So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
Anybody else want to add to that? If not, I'll go to another question. Go ahead, Shakana.
And you don't have to force it. It is what it is. Let it
Mm-hmm.
be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with what Michelle said about the historical behaviors and ways we think of how we try to change ourselves to please others. It's a societal thing as well. This
Mm-hmm.
societal structure causes us to change ourselves, to make us feel like we have to change ourselves and dim our light because we're too much, right? Or we bring too much to the table. We're too intelligent. We have too much to offer. Well, then the flip side of that, or of the same coin, is why are you jealous? So so at the end of the day, it's more so be who you are, live your truth, tap into your authentic self, don't be
Mm-hmm.
fearful. And the art of becoming is a continuous process.
It
So don't
sure
feel
is.
like you have arrived and you have completed your destination. No, you are continuing this journey. And as long as you have breath in your body, you still have more to learn, you have more growing to do, and you have more barriers to break. So
Yeah.
don't forget that. We're all here for a specific purpose. And one of those purposes, I believe, is to break barriers in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you,
I love that.
Shakana. So as
Welcome.
you reflect on your life, what moment would you tell your younger self that you wish you would have cherished more than you did?
Mm. I can chime in on this one.
Go ahead.
Uh,
Who's saying that? Lakeisha?
yes, Lakeisha.
Uh-huh.
The tough times, the tough times. Like I can't see the name. When she said it, you think it'll last forever. Everything is temporary, right? I wish
Mhm.
in those tough times I was able to, like you said, cherish it and really kind of get the lesson from it instead of internalizing that as this is who I am, I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough, or just really tearing myself apart. I wish in those moments I would have cherished it and saw it as an opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
Um, that this is a transition and not have to put myself in such a place that I had to dig myself out of. I know I'm being
Mhm.
vulnerable right now. This is the purpose of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this is real, right? Is in those tough times you start to internalize it as your fault, essentially, or something that you did terribly wrong, or you're not good, whatever it is, negative things you're telling yourself. I wish I would have saw it more as an opportunity for growth and cherished it as such. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that's
Yeah.
what the first thing I thought of.
And what I would ask you guys, if you could give some specific examples, like at a pivotal point that was pivotal for you. Yeah. But thank you, Lakeisha. That was
Hmm.
good. Go ahead,
I
Ashley.
will. So in terms of something that I wish I would appreciate more, I think the biggest point is the intentionality of it all. But I use that to say, so ever since 2020 started, just very real, it's been hit after hit after hit in terms of my personal life and people that are close to me or that I really, really cherish. So I lost my host dad in March of 2020, my father in April of 2020, my host mom in May of 2020, my mom's best friend in July, a cousin in August. Like it was just hit after hit. And then last year, I lost a second grandmother. I just lost my special. So, and all of this loss, every time I keep going back to this point of, I wish I would have I wish I would have. And the I wish I would have, I think, is the most irritating part of it all because I love
Mm,
them. I
mhm,
appreciated them. I have these moments with them that I cherish. And I told them all of these things. But I think being more intentional in my interactions with them is
mm,
what I would have done differently. I think really trying to garner that knowledge and pull out those things that I entrusted not only with them, but that I found so captivating or, loved most about them. If I would have pulled more from those things to really glean and just have that for someone else. Because
mm,
for me, my like life motto is to be a builder of bridges, right? So not to keep anything within myself, but to pass it along or help someone else, whether it's development, information, it doesn't matter.
mhm,
So with all of this like major loss that I've experienced and the things that I wish I could, or the things that I would go to those people for, now it's like I want to be more intentional in my life. And
mm,
a note to my younger self is to just be more intentional with how you spend your time. Like, yeah, it's fun, it's games, and that's great. But also, like, those moments, those people are not going to be here forever. So do your due diligence and just keep yourself like in a mindset of, I love it, I'm here for it, I'm present, but also don't miss the present in the presence.
yeah, I like that,
Absolutely.
Ashley. Be in the moment, right? Be in the moment for real. Ariana, were you gonna say something?
I definitely agree with that. As someone who I lost my father when I was 11 and I was very close to him, I was a big daddy's girl. So that was the biggest loss of my life so early on. It made me notice that I need to take advantage of the memories and I never want to take for granted any fun time that I have with anyone that I love because that's what I have to go forward now. I'm still reminiscing on me being 7 and 8 and having fun with my father. So in my 20s, hanging out with friends and just having a good time, laughing so hard you can't breathe. Like those
Yeah.
fun times are the moments that keep me through when I'm stressed
Yes.
and I'm like, oh, I don't know what's next. But you know what? I had a good night that night when we had our little party and, just the small things. The small memories really do count. And that's something that I always try to remember. Like, take advantage of this time. You're enjoying it. Go out. I'm like somewhat of an introvert. I want to stay at home. I want to be a homebody. Somebody asked me to come out. I really don't want to. You know what? I need to make a memory. So yes, I am going to get out my bed,
Mhm,
unfortunately, and make that memory and just enjoy that because it's the little
mhm.
things in life that'll, help you through. Or looking forward to something later. You had a tough week, but you're going to see someone later and hang out. Like, take advantage of the community that's around you because that's really what's everything.
Yeah. Thank you, Ariana. Anybody else wanna add to that? Go ahead, Sig.
So that time thing is like so important, especially as someone that like I grinded my whole life in the fear of time, not having enough time to set up XYZ thing. And at the time, now I operate with time under the premise of setting things up for um, but before I operated off of time, like you need to hurry up and accomplish these things and prove yourself type
Mm.
situation. And so I I definitely now look back, I've definitely had high functioning anxiety. But
Oh, no. Okay, we're gonna have her come back. Anybody else wanna let me go to someone else, and I have her continue when she gets back. Mo, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I guess I could say sisterhood. I
Mhm.
was a bit of a
Ooh.
tomboy, so I connected a lot with a lot of males.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel in my older age that there's a lot of women experiencing a lot of things that I have, and just being a lot more open and willing to share my story. I find that I'm not alone, so I wish I would have known that a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Thank you, Mo. Anybody else want to add to that? Okay, Sig's coming back. She's coming back. Hey, Sig,
Okay.
can you
Do you
hear
guys?
us?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so back to finish my thought, just this premise of time and going from a place of being afraid of it to appreciating it, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's the crazy thing is my ex-husband, when I married him, the thing that he told me was that it's basically like where I was going fast, 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 he would be my reminder to slow down and enjoy and
Mm-hmm.
smell the roses. And that's something that I appreciate about him as my partner was that, here I was rushing to accomplish the next goal. And he's like, let's go on vacation. Let's go do XYZ thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to not make time my enemy, but instead, celebrate the time. And,
Mm-hmm.
I go to Elevation Church, University City. And one thing that Pastor Furtick said at the top of the year was that we need to look at time and not think about our goals as like 2024, I want to accomplish all these things, but instead see it as 24 as in 24 hours. What can I do with this 24 hours? Instead of feeling the pressure to solve all things in one, in one day, when
Mm-hmm.
setting that resolution and thinking about how
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to operate with my time for a whole year, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
looking at every 24. And
Mm-hmm.
that shift gave me a new appreciation for time, and instead of fearing it and rushing out of the fear that, I'm going to lose time, time is going to end, it's like, no, time is to be appreciated and to be celebrated and filled with things that bring you joy.
Yeah. How do you make every moment count? So similar to, I don't know what Ariana and Ashley were saying, but again, being in the moment, making those moments count, right? Um, talk about we'll go into a little bit about and I guess career success, whatever you label as success, but how has your idea of success or happiness changed over time compared to when you were younger? Who wants to tap into that question first? Go ahead, Mo.
I think my idea of happiness, or um, let's just say when I was 20, I was focused more on the physical aspect of everything
Okay.
versus the internal aspect. And you can be beautiful on the outside and be rotten to the core. And I feel with age, once you start to actually feel yourself and become more aware of yourself, you know that the physical presence is the least of your worries.
Mhm.
So stop worrying about your hair, stop worrying about, your body. If you're good enough, you're good enough just the way that you are. But if you're
Mhm.
not happy within, nothing else matters. So I feel
Mm.
like once you're in your 20s, I feel most people are really concerned about their physical aspect in their 20s versus their mental aspect. And I'm so happy now that we're reflecting more on mental and how we feel as a person versus how the
Amen.
outside perceives us, because
Yeah.
that's way more important than anything else. So,
Thank you, Mo. Anyone
mhm.
else in terms of how you view success now versus how you viewed it later? Debrita, go ahead.
I feel like I have I think like kind of on the lines of what she was saying, like I viewed happiness as very being materialistic,
Mm.
looking a certain way, having a certain amount of money, traveling to freaking Paris. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like this grand, lavish like life. And it's so unrealistic because when you don't achieve it, you feel like you're a failure. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
I'm not, you see everybody on, in Paris on Facebook, you're like, oh my God, I'm not in Paris. What is wrong with my life? What am I doing? You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's not a realistic goal. So for me, I had to change, um, I had to learn how to live in the moment and
Mm.
learn how to appreciate what I have instead of what I don't have.
Right.
Like, do I have family and friends around me who love me, who care about me, who support me? Do I have a roof over my head? Can I pay my bills? Can I go down the street and get a margarita tomorrow if I felt like it? And even with work, it was just kind of like, working somewhere, like, are we concerned about money? Or, like 2 years ago is when work life, or no, work environment is really really got very important to me, because
Right.
I went from working somewhere that I was just another employee and did not feel appreciated and nobody cared whether I was there or not, to working somewhere where my boss was like, oh my God, please do not leave me. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like,
mhm,
just
mhm,
being in an environment where everybody loves me, where everybody feels like a team, where everybody's understanding of your life. And if you got to leave work, girl, go ahead.
mhm.
And it's so different. Like, quality of life is so much more important than
Mm.
the all the material things to me. So I had to change
Mhm.
that.
Thank you, Dorita. That was a whole you said a mouthful.
And just
There.
the
It's becoming
just
an adult. It's becoming an adult, right? Go ahead, Shakana. You
Real quick about success, understanding that failing is a part of the process,
amen.
and
Mm.
understanding that even in your failures, you're not a failure.
Mhm.
And so, a
Yes.
lot of times, as people, we equate the fact that we failed with the false fact that we are a failure, and we're not.
Mhm.
It's just merely steps that we're taking to get to the success that we see,
Mhm.
or hopefully that we see, right?
Mhm.
Because it can be bigger. Our successes can be bigger than what we even imagine, but we have to at least try. We have to
Mhm.
put our best foot forward. And unfortunately, there are some people in this life that don't even try because they're afraid of fear factor and the fail factor, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they don't want to fail. They don't want to take the risk. And so, just understanding that success is a process and failure is a part of that, but you're not a failure because you
Right.
fail. It's just a part of the process.
It sure is, and that's one of the things
Mm.
I find in my coaching practice. To your point, people are afraid to maybe do things new because they're afraid of failure. But it is in that failure that you learn. And I tell everybody, if I look back on my life and the things that did not go as I wanted it to go, right? I ask myself, what was my lesson learned? Because if there's a lesson, and it should be a lesson learned in everything that you do, right? And as long as you can take something from that, then that's a win. That's a win because now you know what not to do, right? You know what not to do. So thank you for that. Anybody else? Lakeisha, I saw you write down. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the question was, what was the question again? The
So success, how has your idea of
success, yes.
success or happiness changed over time?
Um, when I was younger, my idea of success or happiness was make as much money as you can.
Mm,
I always thought if we figured out how to manage our money, we would be successful, would be financially free. That's always been my quest since the beginning of time.
mhm,
Um, I still kind of feel that way. I feel like once we have a handle on how we manage our money, no matter how much you make, I think you will be successful if you're able to hone in on your impulses, you're able to improve your discipline in everything. I
mhm,
think that is success in so many areas of your life.
mhm,
But now it's shifted as I'm older. I'm approaching 40 next month. My idea of success and happiness is one, your independence, being able to come into your own home and not have to step on eggshells, and you are able to just be who you are. You've made it to a point where you don't have to check in with someone to take a nap. You are truly independent, right? And two, your health and your wellness, what you put in your body, your fitness, your movement, your ability to get up in the morning and not have so much body pain and being able to lift heavy things. I think that is the most important. Doing hard things, honing in on your discipline, and doing things that you don't want to do, but you know that's good for you. So to
mhm.
me, that's happiness, that's discipline, that's success, and also still being able to manage your money, not feeling like you are a slave to your money, that you're able to
Yeah,
control and give every dollar that you've earned a job.
yeah,
Give it some direction on to support where you're going in life. So it's all
yeah,
mixed up in there. So it hasn't really
yeah.
changed as much, but it's more leaning on the health and wellness. I'm like such big. like so big on the fitness and what you
Mm-hmm.
eat and those types of things, but also money as well. Like if we can just kind of merge those two and um, really master ourselves, our
Mm-hmm.
emotions, our impulses, I think that's the key to happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. And managing your money is important.
It is important.
It's
People
important
don't
because you
think that it's not.
realize, I know in my 20s I was spending, spending, spending. The worst thing they could have done is offer credit card in college. That's all
Yeah,
I'll say. Um, but what you realize is if you have your finances in order, there's so much more that you can do. There is freedom that you have, right?
yeah.
Once you know how to manage your funds, and they really should really be teaching young people how to do that, right?
From the
Yeah,
very
And that
beginning.
yeah, yeah.
to
Mm,
jump in, they're actually doing a lot of financial literacy courses for the younger youth because
yeah,
my son, so they're um engaging in that aspect. I think that was missing where they're actually teaching the younger kids
good. That's
financial
good.
literacy.
Glad to
So
hear that.
that's a good
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Anybody else? Anything to add? Go ahead, Sig.
Yeah, quick note on what success looks like and how it's changed for me. I think, earlier in my life, it looked like hitting those milestones, those accolades, going to college, getting the corporate job, getting your first apartment, doing all those things. And now that I've accomplished those things and I'm looking at where I'm feeling the fullest in my heart, I feel like I'm most successful now. And it's not because I
Mhm,
accomplished those things, it's because I'm in a place where I'm listening to myself, my spirit, and doing things that drive me and fill me up versus the thing that's society is saying that I should be doing. And then
mm,
also operating in a place of purpose where I feel like before I was just doing because this is what you're supposed to do. I've grown in my faith and I'm now operating from a space to this is what God is telling you to do. This is the purpose that
mhm,
He's giving you. And so
mhm.
I feel more successful, happier, fuller now than I ever have in my whole life. I've had all these experiences and all these things that I've been able to accomplish, but I'm my happiest right now and feeling the most successful in the confusion and the pressure of entrepreneurship because
Yeah,
I feel like I'm
Mhm.
operating in my purpose. Um,
yeah.
and so that even though I haven't accomplished the goal yet, my salon's opening next year, it's just like I still feel successful because I'm able to find joy even in the discomfort of this moment
Yeah,
and feel full in this moment and feel closer to God in this moment in ways that I've never felt before.
good, good. What got you there?
Trials and tribulations, honestly.
Mhm,
Like it's like
mhm,
I literally had
Mhm.
to, you know, let go of the control of accomplishing all of those things and being focused on hitting milestone after milestone
mhm,
and I think the biggest kind of thing that happened was my decision to, pursue divorce and leave my spouse. It's like you work so hard to get to this place. We had, the brick house with the white fence, the dog, the cars, and everything
mhm,
the way that it's supposed to be, but I didn't feel full. I didn't
mhm,
feel happy in that space. And the moment that I realized that it was killing me trying to hold on to something that was not bringing me joy,
mhm,
I really had to make a call on putting myself first. And it was the ultimate test of my faith to walk away from this thing that looked perfect. It looked like everything that I should want, but it didn't feel right in my soul. And it literally was just experiencing that pain of when things are not, filling you the way that they're supposed to fill you and getting burned by that fire for me to really be like, okay, you tired of getting burned yet?
mhm,
You ready to
mhm,
wisen up and stop touching that and stop pushing
mhm,
for that?
mhm,
Um, and it's through those trials and tribulations that I took the biggest risk of all of letting it all go, and I was truly able to come into my full self and get to this point.
mhm. Yeah, that's huge. Lakeisha, I want you to talk a little bit about that because there are often times my dog wants to make a debut.
Oh,
This is the first time that he has decided to jump on my lap actually during a podcast. So I'm like, I don't know if he's hearing all these voices. I have to have my headset on. So I apologize. I'm fidgeting. That's because he
I love the dogs.
scratched my doggone leg. But anyway, Lakeisha,
Yes.
talk a little bit about that because I think being able to let go and knowing when you just need to do something different is huge.
Mm.
I think as women, as we grow into ourselves, right, is also a part of life as well. Anything you can share about that from a therapist standpoint?
Yeah. Well, Siggy touched on something earlier, the before you cut out the first time, that you had high functioning anxiety, right? Oftentimes, folks are functioning in such a high anxious state is because they feel like they're about to lose control over something. So they have to hold on to whatever that is. It's an idea, um, what people expect of them, society, or whatever that is, right? I must hold on to that because if I don't, who would I be? What would that look like for me? What would they say about me, right? So it's this constant anxious state that you're in. So I need to kind of hold on to this kind of fictitious control that you think you have, and it's tough for individuals to kind of let that go. You have to sometimes go through a lot of trials and tribulations to realize I really don't have control. And now, what does that look like when I do relinquish and allow kind of my inner drive or just kind of what I want, listening to myself. What does that really look like? Canceling out what others think of me. So
Yeah.
it's
Thank you for
tough. This is
that. She
all
just
just part of
hit a
growth.
nerve when you said that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
part of maturing, right? Is also being able to know when you need to step back and let it go.
Mm,
Right. Yeah,
definitely.
I'm gonna talk a little bit. I want to talk about relationships and kind of tap into it. See, you kind of jumped into that piece just a little bit with your comment about divorce. But let's talk a little bit about choosing friends and partners. What your life lesson in terms of that? So friendships. What advice would you give your younger self about choosing friends and partners? Shakana?
Listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I could have avoided so many relationships that I wasn't supposed to be in if I just listened to my gut.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a divorcee as well. I've been divorced, and that was tough for me because I overcame so many things and then got married. And I was like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing exactly what God told me to do. Da 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 da. Raised in the church, doing everything right, you know.
Mhm.
And then getting divorced, I'm like, oh man, I'm doing the walk of shame. How can I continue to live my life? And people look at me. I'm an example. I'm a mentor to people. How can I continue to live my life in this way and I'm divorced?
Mhm.
That's one of the biggest things that is I was taught that was shameful, and I don't believe that's shameful, right?
Mhm.
But that's a lot of people look down on that, and I'm like, no. But I had to learn within myself that getting married for me, it was a learning curve, because
Mhm.
if for me, if I did not get married, I never would have learned who I truly am, right?
Mhm.
I would not have evolved into my true authentic self. I
Mhm.
literally had to get married to learn. Shakana, break down those barriers.
Mhm.
Listen to your gut, because what your gut was telling you was don't do it. But
Mhm.
you allowed the people around you to influence you and say, go for it. This is the one for you.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And while we were friends prior to getting married, and our relationship evolved into what it was, at the end of the day, my gut was telling me, my intuition was telling me, Holy Spirit was telling me, don't do it. And
Mhm.
I went against that. And so I had to endure what that marriage brought for me. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, I learned who I truly am. And that was one of the biggest lessons and blessings from getting married and becoming
Mhm.
divorced, is because I was doing so much. I found out I was operating so much in the external and what
Mhm.
everybody else wanted, but I missed my internal. I
Mhm.
missed what was going on with me. I missed my truth. I missed my moments of truth. And I really had to sit with myself in my time of being divorced, and going through that process, and really understand, Shakana, you are better than what you thought you were,
Yeah.
right? And embrace that.
Mhm.
Embrace your truth. Embrace your life, and love it. Love it
Yeah.
as you embrace it and go for it. Um, Yeah, listen to your gut,
Yeah.
people. Everybody listen to your gut. I could say so much more about that, but I don't want to take up the.
No, that's huge. I think the other thing in that is not staying in a relationship just to stay in a relationship,
Facts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I see so many hands, but go ahead, Debree. I'll let you go.
I was gonna say, the thing that I have learned is that you do not have to prove yourself to anybody
Hmm.
to have love or to have a friendship.
Yeah.
And that's probably been my biggest lesson, is thinking that I need to show up for people in a certain way to prove that I'm their friend,
Mm.
instead of doing what's best for me and what I need to do, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And even in relationships, there's this great book called Women Who Love Too Much,
Mm.
and it's really not about loving too much. It's about not having to prove to anybody that you are worthy of love.
Mm.
And it's just like, we do too much. We over, exert ourselves, and we make sacrifices we don't need to make, and we do, for love, and we don't have to do that, you know what I
Right.
mean? And it's just like, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody,
Mhm.
to have what is for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you, Debrita. Go ahead, Ashley. I have a
Um,
feeling everybody's going to say something here. Go ahead, Ashley.
so one thing that just stuck with me, and you saying that, you showed up so much to prove that you were worthy of being loved, Rita. My thing was always, I'm gonna stick this out until I can say I did everything I could do. That's with a friendship, relationships, everything. And I think for me, it's learning that you don't have to stick it out. Because back to what she kind of said, my gut told me a long time ago, but I stayed because I felt like I should da 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 da, or I have to show them that I'm deserving, or whatever the reason is. When I knew a long time ago, but I devalued myself because that's really what it is, and my authenticity. I devalued who I am and just what I bring to the table and just my humanity, right? And I think the biggest lesson is just learning that it's okay to walk away.
Mm.
When you get that feeling of the time is up, there's a reason, because overstaying leads you into so many other things and causes so many other trials and tribulations that you really didn't need in the first place. Because maybe you learned that 2 months ago, two relationships ago, whatever it was. Like, you probably
Yeah.
already learned that. So you're staying to prove a point, but really it's detrimental to yourself. And now you
Mhm.
have to pick up the pieces that you're now going to put on this other person when really system is you.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
part of that is just like ownership in a way, and learning how to take ownership of, your faults as well, but also just listen, like everyone's been saying, listen to your gut,
Mhm.
your inner goddess, your God, your person, your divine path. Just listen to it, because
Yeah.
again, 99% of the time it's not going to steer you wrong.
Yeah. And I like the part you said also taking ownership of your faults as well, right? So not staying somewhere where you know it's not healthy for you, but also taking account of what are some things that maybe you could do differently yourself is also important. Who else had their hand? I think Mo, I saw your hand. And okay, so Mo, Sig, and then Ariana. Go ahead, Mo.
Okay, so the most important thing I would say for myself is don't try to find yourself in someone else.
Mm,
Mm.
Okay?
mm,
um, be yourself, and whoever really is supposed to be for you, they're gonna love you, whether you're crazy, whatever you come with, that's your person. But don't try to find yourself in someone else, because it's only when you and only you can be you. No one else can be that. And make yourself lovable.
mm.
Really sit back and reflect, like, am I a person that I would fall in love with?
Mhm.
Really self-reflect. I think self-reflection is key. I've done a lot of that, and looking back on certain things, I would think, you might want to turn some things around. And
Uh-huh.
when you actually sit back and self-reflect, I think that a lot of the decisions, bad decisions, good decisions, it's really a self-reflection um, of the choices that you make. So we
Yeah.
too often we point fingers at the other person, the other party, but it's really a self-reflection. So I think once we get past that and trying to find ourselves in someone else, we'll
Yeah.
get we'll get somewhere
Yeah.
further than we want to be.
Thank you, Mo. Again, another
Hmm.
testament to looking at yourself, but also not staying in a place too long just because you're trying to satisfy everybody else.
Hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Ariana, go ahead.
Um, I agree with what everyone has said 1,000%, especially the trust your gut. And for me, I had to learn that for me personally, closure is a myth. I feel like I'm going to be able to keep talking to someone and figure out what's going on. I'm a Libra. I want to be fair. I want to see your side. I want to try to make you see why I'm feeling that way. That just opens the door to more manipulation, confusion, and just leave it for what it is. Half
Mm-hmm.
the time somebody knows what it is that they've done wrong, and you continuing to be a dead horse is getting you nowhere. Just leave it as it is. Go with
Mm-hmm.
grace and say, look, it didn't work. I can still have love for you in my heart because of whatever we had in the past. But going forward, no, and that's it. But I've learned that closure can be a myth. And if I block somebody, it's not necessarily I hate you, I'm blocking you. You don't need to see what's going on. It's just that you just need to just be deleted out of my life and that's it. I don't need a
Mm-hmm.
reminder and goodbye. With
Yeah.
respect.
Definitely it's a you gotta have your peace, right? And it goes friendships, partnerships, whatever that is. I'm a true believer. Some people are in your life for a season. Everyone's in your life for a reason, and some people are just in your life for a season and just learning to accept that fact, right? But sometimes you got to go through some things before you get to that point. Um, anyone else? Anything to add about friendships? Go ahead,
Yeah, so
Lakeisha.
getting, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Lakeisha.
Oh, this was going to tie it up in a ball and just set your price. Just set your price, which is such a standard, right? So if something is not aligning with that price and people can't pay it, they have to move out the way. That's just the
Mm,
bottom line. My biggest thing is respect, loyalty. If I feel that there's no respect in the relationship, I'm telling you what it is that um, I value or what I find disrespect or what crosses my boundaries, and you continue to cross that. I've always
mhm,
been a Libra
mhm,
since I was young. My first boyfriend, soon as there was an inch of disrespect, I left. I've
mm.
always been accused of giving up so easily because my price is respect.
Yeah,
So set your price. And if people can't pay it, there's no negotiation of that. There's nothing else to talk about.
that
We have
part,
nothing else
Lakeisha.
to talk about.
Yeah,
That's been my standard from the very beginning.
yeah.
And to
You're a
that,
lot like me. I'm just not staying in places long.
No, I
yeah.
don't.
Um, I just
And I
can't. Go
And
ahead,
I
Sig.
think that's a difference in growing up too. Like what I found to be significant is a big thing is that I no longer pour into people because it takes too much from myself, but I do operate from a place of overflow and I
Mhm,
give love and show up in love everywhere that I go. But I'm very intentional about who I allow to keep kind of like getting that overflow and to the point of
Mm,
setting the price. It's like even though this is overflow, it's still mine. And
mhm,
I still have to be protective of like when I see you're mistreating me or taking advantage of that overflow and not giving something in return, I have to be prepared to be like, okay, I gave you all that I could give. Now some other people need to drink from this fountain, but
mhm,
you got your cup got holes in it, and I'm gonna go somewhere
mm,
else. Like, because this is a waste of my resource at this point.
mhm,
And something that I've learned in even aging in friendships and relationships to the point of reason and a season, it's like the people that were in my life when I was younger were there because we were in similar circumstance, the same school, the same neighborhood, whatever the case may be. And so it felt like those relationships should have more value because of how long they were or
mhm,
the fact that they were always around and consistent. But what I'm learning is I can make a friend, tomorrow that treats me better than a friend that I've known for 15 years and loves on me and gives me their overflow more than someone that I've known for eons and eons. And
Amen.
I have to be okay, coming back to the point of time, not letting time be a factor about how I operate in these relationships, new, old, vice versa, and being more in tune with my gut, being more in tune with my price, and understanding like what it is that I want from this relationship, what it is that I'm prepared to give into this relationship, and just continue to operate from a place of overflow, not allowing myself to give so much that I leave myself with little, and I'm begging for more in return from people that cannot and may not be here to give in that way. And
Mm-hmm.
instead, I just make sure that I'm protected first, operating from only what I have that's extra, and then being sure that that extra that I'm giving out comes with that set of boundaries, that price, that that intentionality about understanding how someone or something makes me feel to decide if I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to keep it in my life or keep them in my life.
Thank you for that, Sig. Just have two more questions. I want to talk a little bit about career and ambitions, you all. Um, what advice would you give your younger self about pursuing a career or finding your passion? So you think back where you are now
Mm.
and what you've done. Go ahead, Lakeisha.
I know I'm just oh
Go ahead. Oh man, did she just get knocked out?
Yes.
Okay, she'll be back. She'll be back. Who wants to start? Go ahead, Shana.
While we're waiting for Lakeisha to come back, I would say to my younger self, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to the points that we've made earlier, just do it and don't be afraid. And don't let anybody dictate what you do and don't do.
Mm-hmm.
Follow your dreams, follow your goals, follow your passions, because those passions will turn into your dreams becoming reality, and they
Mm-hmm.
will become the goals that you end up reaching. And
Mm-hmm.
so
sorry.
go for it, fight for it,
Mm-hmm.
and don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
okay.
you.
Sometimes you have to take the miss in
Yeah.
order to get to where you're getting to, right? And so do what you have to do. Be your true authentic self in everything you do, especially your career, and don't let anybody tell you you have to change to fit a mold. If it's
That
for
part.
you, if it's for
Mm.
you, it is for you.
Yeah.
Okay? Because at the end of the day, what God has for you is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes you will have to make some turns. Sometimes you might have to jump through some hoops, but you will make it. But you have
Mm-hmm.
to follow what's inside of you, because if
Mm-hmm.
God put it in you, it has to come out.
Yeah.
Mm. Thank you, Shakana.
You're
Lakeisha.
welcome. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I just quickly don't be afraid to do hard things. Don't
Mm.
shy away from hard things. Do it while you can, when you have this kind of low risk time in your life where you might be living with your parents or you
Mm-hmm.
might not have huge bills, right? Take the risk. Do hard things. Just do it and see what
Mm-hmm.
happens. You never
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
that's
And
my take on it.
Yeah.
this is
Go
for
ahead,
all
Mo,
age.
and then I think Ariana had her hand up. So Mo first and Ariana. Go ahead.
I guess it would go back to my beginning statement, but being unapologetic is that you might not know what you want to do in the beginning, which most of the time we don't. But don't be so sorry for everything. Everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this may come off as being abrupt, but be the best that you can be. And the best that you might be is not what the world may perceive as being the best.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's in your heart, just follow it.
Mm-hmm. Thank
Okay.
you, Mo. Ariana.
Absolutely agree with follow your heart. That's the number one thing. And then I'm going to take it a little differently from a different perspective. My first real job out of college was the most toxic workplace I have ever been in, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. So my number one rule is know when it's time to go. I
Mm.
read the
Yes.
signs, the red flags, and be like, oh, well, it's happening around me. It's not happening to me. Baby, it's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Always write down when something is going wrong in the workplace,
Mm-hmm.
have it
Mm-hmm.
reported, and then just journal. I would look back on my journal and say, like, oh, I thought that this happened 2 months ago, but it's been happening for the past 3 weeks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
keep record of what was going on so I could sit back and look and say, okay, this is a problem. Know when something is an issue and know when it's time to leave somewhere. Especially in this job market. Well, maybe not now, but it is a little bit better to not stay somewhere for so long. Sometimes these employers, they don't value you because you're there for too long and they take you for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So know when to go, know when to take your talents elsewhere, continue to have like the big dreams you have and follow it.
Thank you, Ariana. Go ahead, Sig.
I would say operate from a place of faith, not fear, in your career, in the path that you're going. Every day that you wake up is a day that you can try something new, be something else,
Mm-hmm.
and that you still have the space to operate in your purpose. And so it's like I wake up and I think, okay, God's not through with me yet. What are we doing today? And how are we going to
Mm-hmm.
operate and how are we going to move? And what are we going to do that operates in the purpose of what He's placed on our hearts? But how are we going to bring ourselves joy and bring people around us joy and happiness today? And I think that's something that more people could benefit from operating in a place of. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you could just wake up and know, listen, like, I'm not feeling this, I'm not happy. It's never too late. And this is for younger and older people as well. I'm here, I'm 34. I've been in my career for over, a decade, and now I'm trying something new altogether in entrepreneurship. And it's scary as all F, but like, it's like, I'm here, I'm happy and I'm feeling fulfilled. And I know people that have been in their job, even when I was in like corporate environments, that they've been in the same job 20 plus years, and they still feel like, man, I wish I would have went to medical school and did XYZ. I wish I should
Mm-hmm.
have out accounting. And I'm just like, why didn't you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you could have did it right
Mm-hmm.
here in this company and let them pay for it, for you
Yeah.
to transition to a different department. But so many people are operating from a place of fear that they miss so many opportunities to further develop themselves and find their true purpose. I
Yeah.
like to say that, like, we have a vision for what we want out of our life, and God gives us the freedom to have that vision. But ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
He already knows what He wants from us, what He needs from us, and our job is to then put ourselves in the place to find it, because our God is a savage God. He likes to make us work sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
I got to a
Mm-hmm.
place now. Here I am, over a decade out of the career that I chose. And
Mm-hmm.
God is now taking the skills that I learned in that career and applying it to what He's given me as my purpose. Because, yeah, to go from Fortune 40 marketer to nail technician is a big change. But guess what? I now have the marketing skills to get butts in my seats. And it's
Well,
important to get those butts in my seats because I also have my community give back, where a percentage of
mm-hmm.
it goes back into the community. And just like that simple butt in seat that I was able to get, comes to that seat, that money then feeds people in the community, now takes care of His people. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's to a place where He's going to take what I've done and use it for what His greater purpose is. But the only way that I was able to get to that purpose is to let go of what felt comfortable, let go of that fear, and step out on faith and do something different. I told
Yeah.
God I wanted to be hand in hand with my community, and He literally put me hand in hand. This is
Yeah.
not something that I would have ever predicted, that I would land in a space like this, but
Yeah.
I feel the most fulfilled that I've ever
Yeah.
felt in my
So not
life.
being afraid to try something new, the skills you learn, you can bring it for play it forward, doing something different for sure. Anyone else wants anything to add here? Go ahead, Debrida.
I was going to say, take care of yourself
Mm.
Amen.
when it comes to your job,
Mm-hmm.
because if something happens to you, they're going to replace you,
Quickly.
and very quickly. And so anything that you need to do for yourself, take the PTO, take the time, and go ahead and do it, because it is
Yeah.
very easy to get caught up in work and making sure you're there every day and being there for everybody else and not doing what you need to do for yourself.
Amen.
So
And I
make
and I
sure
tell
you take care of
people,
yourself.
I don't know how many people, as an HR, and I was a senior HR professional. So by the time I left, I was doing strategic HR. But I don't know how many people would leave time on the table. And I'm like, y'all, you get this time to use. Use it. Use it. Use it. Mo,
The one thing that I will tell everyone, you are replaceable. So
absolutely.
use your time.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
You are replaceable.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in any dimming light or anything. We were talking about self-reflection and things like that. But if it is not your company and it is not, your personal space, you will be replaced within 24 hours.
Yeah, I tell, like I said, having
Use your
having worked
time.
in HR for 37 years, believe me, if you leave, they will be looking for someone else right away. Right. So just make sure you are taking care of yourself, the breeder, for sure. Right. Anyone else have anything to add? Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna let this be the last question because y'all kind of went into what I was gonna kind of wrap up with. But I will ask: is there anything else that we didn't say that y'all feel like is important to say? But go ahead, Ashley.
Well, I'll answer the first question and then let everyone else answer. But in terms of things that I would tell my younger self, I would just say, girl, ask the questions. Ask all
Mm,
the questions. You're not stupid. You're not, wasting someone's time. You're not knowledgeable or whatever fear-based thought process comes into your head. Like, ask the
mm-hmm,
question because
mm-hmm,
that question could lead you to somewhere else. It could
mm-hmm,
lead you to a promotion. It could lead you to a better skill set. It could lead you to a different job. It can lead you to, I don't know, a friend. It can lead you anywhere. So I
yeah.
think ask the question, just be curious because
Mm-hmm,
I know they say curiosity killed the cat, but not professionally.
mm-hmm. Ask. If you have a
So
question,
ask the
someone else
question.
probably had the same question. So ask.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anything we have not covered that you would say, I really wanted to say this. I think it's important for people to know, right? Go ahead, Lakeisha.
Do a comprehensive assessment on anybody that tries to engage with you or try to come into your space. Comprehensive assessment is, I'm not going to marry this person because he's a nice guy, but he doesn't have a job and he doesn't take care of his kids or he has some other issues, right? There's so many facets of people that, yeah, they may present one way,
Mm,
but you have to take in everything that they're coming with before you jump into whatever that is. Calling them a friend, a boyfriend, a husband, moving to anything. Do a comprehensive assessment of everything that a person has to offer when they're asking to come into your space.
mm-hmm.
And don't be
Absolutely.
afraid to be alone. It's okay to
Mm,
say, no, I'd rather wait until I find the person that's for me, whether it's a friend, a guy, a woman, whoever it is. Don't be afraid to be alone. Being alone is
mm-hmm,
okay. Like that's
mm-hmm.
it's you. Who are you running
Yeah.
from? Get to know
Thank
you.
you. Thank
So
you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Just something you think is important to say before we end this live stream that you haven't said?
Piggybacking off of what Lakeisha said, that last thing is so important.
mhm.
Not being afraid to be alone, not being afraid to be by yourself. So oftentimes, I know it was my part of my story because I'm an extrovert. Okay, by nature I'm an
Mm,
extrovert. I've
mhm.
emerged into the introvert side a little bit. I'm emerging, but having to be around people so much, right? And not realizing that was a part of my validation process, right?
Mhm,
Feeling like,
mhm,
oh man, I need to be around people. I need to be out and about. I need to be seen,
mhm, mhm,
but didn't realize that was, oh, you're trying to be validated in a way, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't know that until I knew that. And
mhm,
so don't be afraid in all of that. Don't be afraid to heal. Hear me when I say, do not be afraid to heal. Healing is a hard thing, healing is
Most
a
of
painful thing.
Yep.
If you've ever had surgery, if you've ever been to the doctor, if you've ever hurt yourself, if you ever scraped your finger, healing is a process
mm.
and it hurts.
Yeah.
But it's so
Mhm.
worth it if you do it correctly.
Yep.
If you wash that wound with the correct things.
Mhm,
If you
mhm,
put the neosporin, if you put the band-aid, but don't keep that band-aid on forever because
mhm,
that wound has to air out.
mhm,
You have to air out before you get into another relationship and
mhm,
say, oh, I can be with this person. I'm going to be able to love this person. Part of your healing journey is finding that love within yourself.
Yep.
So once you heal, once you love yourself, you can love somebody else. And then you can also teach them how to love you. And
Amen.
so you have to be able to heal, set those boundaries, those healthy boundaries. And it's okay to say no, because no is a complete sentence.
Mm. That
Even
part.
saying no to yourself because the things that rise in us that we feel like we need, but it's merely a want. And sometimes we have to tame ourselves and have that self-control. I'm not just referring to sex, I'm just referring to everything in
Yeah.
general, because sometimes we got to tame ourselves and have that self-control. So don't be afraid to heal. It's necessary.
Thank you, Shakana.
And then,
Go ahead,
real
Sig.
quick on that, and to the point of healing, similar, like you have a major surgery, you have to go into the doctor, and they have to constantly check up on you. Healing doesn't have to be done alone. Like I
Mm,
feel like when I am going through some of the most biggest areas of my healing journey, and even in love, like as a divorcee, guys, I'm gonna say boys because I feel like real men don't ask this question, but boys will be like, are you healed? And I'm like, no, because there's an area of my healing that cannot be healed by me. It has to be healed from the experience of experiencing someone loving me in the way that I deserve to be loved.
mm-hmm,
So I think, like, even in healing, you have to be open enough to the point of taking that band-aid off. You have to be open enough to also see when you need help in healing, and you need to surround yourself with someone, people, situations, opportunities, things that can help you with your growth, development, your change as you're
mm-hmm.
becoming something new and doing something different. So
Thank you,
understand
Sig.
healing, you don't have to be alone in your healing journey. Sometimes you just got to be wise enough to know when it's time to be alone and go through that process, and when it's time to allow others along in that journey to help uplift you and get you to that next level.
And on that note, I'm gonna have Lakeisha with the last word. When should someone seek the assistance of a therapist?
When it starts to interfere with your day to day, when you
Mm-hmm.
are unable to engage with work, you're unable to take care of your basic needs, you're unable to concentrate, right? When it starts to interfere with your day to day, your basic care of yourself, your ability to connect with others, you might need to seek professional help because it's now a clinical issue.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And on that note, ladies,
Thank
thank you
you. This was so
for
good.
your time, your honesty, your vulnerability.
Yeah.
I am so proud of all of you, and I just need to say that to you all. This was something that was deep in my heart to do, because I know how I was as a young lady. And when I
Mm.
thought about this topic, the Sister Chat series, I really wanted to hit every age group as much as possible. So I appreciate you all. And I'm gonna put you in the green room. If y'all can wait for me for 1 minute, I'm just gonna put you in
Yes.
the green room. And I hope you all enjoyed this conversation. I know I did. And it's just, I think, just a great way to end this year. Know that you are loved, know that you are enough, know that you will make mistakes, know that you, through those mistakes and failures, there is learning. Y'all, there's learning. And if you're feeling stuck, don't be afraid to seek assistance. So, on that note, y'all, I want to wish everybody a happy Friday Eve. Happy holidays. I'm actually going to take a break myself. This is, like I said, the series chat, the Sister Chat series finale. I'll be back with some new episodes starting in February. I'm actually going to take January off to regroup and start to put a plan together for what I want to do next year with regards to this series, to this with this video podcast. So enjoy, y'all. Be safe. And I'll see you in 2025. Real Conversations with Michelle. Like my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, go to my business Facebook page, facebook.com, my best every day, so that you can be on top of everything that I'm doing. Okay? Take care.